Hi, folks. Before we begin, please be aware that we are recording this webinar. If you have any questions about the resources, we encourage you to follow up via email at support@electionsgroup.com. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Annie, and I'm an election expert with the Elections Group.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca, the Communications and Program Manager here at the Elections Group.
For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, the Elections Group is an election administration consulting firm. We partner with state and local election officials to implement new programs or improve processes for voters and stakeholders. We provide guidance, resources, and direct management support for jurisdictions. Our team is made up of former election officials and election experts from across the United States. We're pleased to have you all with us today for our next highlight of resources for the election administration community. Each week, we'll showcase resources from the Elections Group paired with resources from other organizations in the election space. Every 4 weeks, we'll focus on a different topic and we'll take a deeper dive into the resources available each week.
This month, we'll focus on election administration, specifically due diligence. This week, we are highlighting the election groups Knowing It's Right, Limiting the Risk of Certifying Elections, Part 1 through 4, and the Bipartisan Policy Center's Bipartisan Principles for Election Audits. All right, let's get into the resources. First up, we have our resource. This is Knowing It's Right. Part 1, a practical guide to risk limiting audits. This was written by TAG co-founder and CEO Jennifer Morrell. The American public wants to believe that when they vote, it means something. Knowing It's Right series by the Elections Group in partnership with the Democracy Fund is designed to help teach election officials about a new way to audit our elections and check for the accuracy that every voter deserves. This series will help you make the case for risk limiting audits, understand how they work, put a pilot audit into practice, and design a ballot accounting program as the foundation of an audit. As with most election administration processes, implementation success lies in preparation. And risk limiting audits, or RLAs, which some proponents often refer to as the cheap and easy method to check the accuracy of the results, are no exception. Knowing It's Right is a part of the Democracy Fund's election validation project to increase trust in elections through rigorous audits, standards, and testing. This report captures where we currently stand on risk limiting audits, provides an overview of what policymakers need to know, and serves as a guide or workbook on how practitioners can prepare to implement. The materials demonstrate the rigor that a jurisdiction needs to go through in order to conduct a meaningful audit, the decisions that need to be made along the way, and what to contemplate as this relatively young procedure continues to evolve. Risk limiting audit is a post-election audit that takes a random sample of voted ballots and manually examines these ballots for evidence the original reported outcome is correct. An RLA limits the risk of certifying a contest with the wrong winner. The information presented in this report is designed to provide a broader understanding about RLAs as a methodology. It is drawn from both practical experience and research. The report provides plain language descriptions for RLA terms and practices, considerations around the technology and equipment needed to conduct an RLA, and resources for individuals interested in a more thorough and technical information. These terms and technology specs help establish a baseline for policymakers and other interested parties who want to learn the basics of RLAs. Additional definitions and explanations are available in the implementation workbook section of the guide, which includes recommended steps for implementing and conducting a ballot level comparison audit. And finally, the report also lists a number of considerations for policymakers as state laws and rules regarding RLAs are passed and written, as well as recommendations for implementing pilot RLAs. While this issue can be complex and also require specific implementation efforts, our hope is that this report will provide a strong foundation for state and local election officials, lawmakers, advocates, and others to help build a standard practice for conducting such audits in their own states or jurisdictions. Download this series and get started today. Thanks.
Thanks, Rebecca. The Bipartisan Policy Center's report on election audits provides a framework of bipartisan principles to enhance the integrity, reliability, and public trust in election audits. Acknowledging the crucial role audits play in confirming election accuracy and addressing public concerns, it emphasizes the need for consistent, transparent processes, particularly thorough particularly through risk-limiting audits, which are highlighted as a rigorous and effective auditing method. RLAs help determine if election results are accurate without requiring a full recount, focusing instead on statistical sampling to confirm outcomes efficiently and in a cost-effective manner. To increase transparency, the report recommends thorough documentation, public communication, and bipartisan oversight. Having bipartisan observers present at every stage of the audit process is essential, as it reinforces the public's perception of fairness and reduces partisan skepticism. The report stresses the importance of clear audit criteria that the election administrators can follow across jurisdictions, reducing variability and enhancing trust in the procedures used nationwide. The integration of audits as part of election planning is another key recommendation. By making audits a standard part of election infrastructure, administrators can prepare audit logistics, train staff, and ensure that the process is seamless, rigorous, and standardized. This preparation includes training staff to ensure audits are conducted impartially and that each step follows clear guidelines to prevent disputes over audit outcomes. Another central theme is the commitment to continuous improvement. The report suggests that administrators assess audit processes post-election to identify lessons learned and implement improvements. This process not only fine-tunes audit accuracy, but also builds institutional knowledge for future audits. The report concludes that these practices collectively improve confidence in elections, regardless of the political climate, supporting democracy by validating election outcomes as true reflections of the electorate. Check out the guide today. We also wanted to highlight some examples in the wild of election offices across the country who are doing some really amazing work. The Alameda County Risk Limiting Audit webpage provides a transparent step-by-step outline of the county's audit process, from ballot selection to results verification. It details how ballots are securely retrieved, tracked, and audited with strict chain of custody measures and software validation, ensuring accurate results. This model helps other election administrators see a thorough RLA in action, emphasizing integrity, public transparency, and adherence to state audit standards, thereby strengthening voter confidence. Kudos to Alameda County, California, and keep up the great work. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Rebecca, for a great discussion. The resources mentioned in today's discussion have been shared. And as always, our inbox is open. If you have any additional questions, please email us at support@electionsgroup.com. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.